Let's talk about garland pose. Garland pose is a really great hip stretch that's a go-to for a lot of people. So I want to talk about how to align yourself and ways that you can modify if you're not quite there yet. So the first thing that I do is I spill my smaller toes off the edge of the mat, keeping the big toes on the mat, feet slightly turned out. So my feet are just beyond shoulder width at this point. Then I'm going to sink my hips down low, arms come to the insides of the legs, palms together in Anjali Mudra, draw them to heart center, thumbs rest against the sternum, which is a reminder to lift the chest, and in so doing, our tailbone grounds down, our seat is sent forward, and we're getting long through the back, long through the neck. Our ears are up and away from our shoulders, shoulder blades are drawn down and back. Good. So the next thing we're doing here is we're pressing our arms into the legs to widen our squat, to intensify that stretch in the hips. And if we want to go a little bit further here and further engage those muscles in the legs and in the hips, we can squeeze our arms with our legs. So the arms are pressing into the legs and the legs would then be pressing back into the arms, creating tension and really engaging throughout the groin, the inner thighs, and the hips. Good, so now something that's very common here in garland pose is your heels might not touch all the way down, and that's okay if that's where you're at. So you can just hold here, but then again, you really want to stay long through the body. And if you find that very uncomfortable, one way that you can modify is taking a blanket, a cushion, or a rolled up yoga mat and placing that beneath your heels. So that gives you lots of support and allows you to focus more on that alignment throughout the rest of the body. And you'll notice here I even brought my feet in closer together because that's just where I felt that it was most comfortable, and you're free to do that. If you're in a yoga class and you don't have an extra mat or any props that can do that for you, you can always roll up the back edge of the mat that you're working on and then use that for a little bit more support. Another thing that you can do to modify is to sit on a block. So if you're really high up and you're lacking a lot of mobility, you might sit on the block in this position, and then with time, as that mobility improves, you might be lowering the block more and more to suit where you're at. And so again, you're just resting on the block, which allows you to sit up tall, open up, and focus on alignment, focus on your breath, without worrying about balance or about any pain that you don't want to feel. Cushions, meditation cushions, pillows, bolsters work just as well as the block. Sometimes they can even be a little bit more comfortable if you feel like you're going to be settling in garland pose for even longer. And then from here, once we have our garland pose, something that you can do to advance it is to start to bring your feet a little bit closer together with time as your dorsiflexion improves, unless that causes pain in the arches or anywhere. Otherwise, stay where you're at. But we can draw the feet closer together, again, trying to ground through the heels, and then keep that same alignment where we're straight through the back, the neck follows, ears are up and away from the shoulders. Good. We can even bring our feet as close together as possible, raising the heels, soles of the feet together, knees apart, and we're actively pressing them apart, similar to a bound angle pose. And here you can keep your hands down for support, and if this is more comfortable for you, feel free to hold this position anytime garland pose is called for. And you'll feel like Spider-Man.